I forgot you. I've been meeting a lot of people lately that have allergies of all sorts. It's just we don't have any allergies here because we're perfect. But
don't you think though? Like I am less of a conspiracy theorist, but don't you think like we all grew up in the 70s and 80s and we ate processed food and all of that sort of stuff? There's got to be links because our generation.
it's
Right.
so yeah.
And then our kids are just like both of my kids or two of my big kids are allergic to peanuts, like deathly allergic.
Yeah, it's a relatively new thing.
Almost
Right?
all the kids that my son brings over, he makes new friends all the time from going to a new school, and I don't think there's a single one that's come over that's not allergic to something in a big way. It's really weird. Because I didn't. I mean, like you said, when growing up, nobody was allergic to anything, and if you were, you just sucked it up and ate it anyway.
Wait, can we just turn this into a conspiracy talk podcast? It'd be huge. It'd be huge.
I'm just saying aliens. I'm not going to add anything to that. I'm just going to say the word aliens and leave it at that.
I'm just waiting for the alien guy who came out and what do you call it, the whistleblower, like the big military. I'm just waiting for that guy to really come out and just do 60 minutes.
I want to see some photos. I want to see. It's always something blurry. Can I not get something clear?
Yeah, how come all these Yeti photos are just super blurred out, right?
I saw a great one the other day, but then it said Mid-Journey at the bottom, so I discounted.
They're all going to say Mid-Journey. Did you see the new Secret Invasion Disney show, the Marvel show? The whole title sequence was done in Mid-Journey. It's all AI. No. At least that's what the internet said. I mean, I believe everything the internet says, and so
it's all accurate.
So people are like, I'm quitting my Disney subscription.
So let's start our podcast there because that's an.
Do we want an intro?
You got to do an intro.
We don't know how to do the intro.
Who's doing Jake's? Let me take a stab at it.
I'm doing. No, I have it right here.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
right, that's awesome, Anthony.
I've been traveling for weeks on end. I have no clothes on below the waist because they were all stolen from me in Omaha. So you have no excuse. I came prepared. I have 4 hours of sleep right now, and I came prepared.
You know what's funny is I don't even know what Jake's line is on the podcast. I'm just thinking of my own.
I couldn't even start it.
So if I were doing Jake, it would be like, "Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 3 Point Perspective podcast. The podcast where blah, 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 blah."
No, you're pretty close. My favorite is how you modulated lower. Can you do your impersonation of him again? Hello, everybody. How come he sounds like he's underwater when you...
Blah, 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 blah.
All right, let's see you do your best, Jake.
Yeah.
All right. Blah, blah, blah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 3 Point Perspective, the podcast about illustration, how to do it, how to make a living at it, and how to make an impact in the world with your art. I'm not Jake Parker. I'm Anthony Wheeler.
Anthony Wheeler. I'm Lee White.
And I'm Will Terry. And all three of us are professional illustrators. We've published with all the major publishers in the business. We published. I'm like, my brain is busy because I'm like, should I include Anthony in this?
No, you shouldn't, because I've not.
Okay, well,
I'm just a baby.
We together published 75 children's books, and we've all taught illustration at universities or on Twitch.
That's right. Each week we interview fantastic artists or we answer listener questions. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we argue, but each time you learn something brand spanking new.
Oof. That's probably the best intro ever. How many episodes of this show?
100, and this will be 160 something, 162, 163 around there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done a few. You'd think we'd learn it, but we still don't. We're still
I think the audience would think that you would learn it by this point as well.
This is just another meeting for us.
Yeah.
This what's funny is we did the how to fix your art, and then we forgot that this was last week, right? And so we had like 150 people on or something like that, and then we ended it, but we didn't like kick everybody off the YouTube stream, you know? So then we're like, okay, guys, so we have our meeting now because we had planned to have our weekly SBS meeting. And I'm like, you guys realize that there's a lot of people still here.
You guys are just actively talking about your
and
profit
so I said, well, let's just have our meeting with everybody here. Why not? We
And
don't
they
have
all
anything to
stayed
hide.
for some
And there were like
reason.
40 people that stayed and just listened to our
Stupid banter that doesn't get
meeting.
anything done.
Well, that's the fascinating stuff, right? Like people just want to see the behind the scenes. Like I think there just isn't enough business creative content out there. People are terrified to talk about it.
Yeah.
We just are.
Well, or people want to know what's really going on with a company or with the group of people. I mean, we put on our best face for the podcast, but we try to keep it as real as we possibly can.
Yeah.
I tell you this, if we did everything that we talk about in our meetings, we would be rivaling Apple. We would be a Fortune 500 company. We have great ideas, and then we don't do anything. That's normally what we do. We talk about all this
we're
great
busy.
stuff. We are busy.
Yeah.
It's not really a great commercial for SBS right there. It's like we have great ideas, but we don't do anything.
No, here's the Jake Parker takeaway there. You should have jumped on this, by the way, Anthony.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Reprimanding you. The takeaway there is you will have 10 ideas, and then one of them will get done, and then that's the thing. I mean, that's sort of how things happen. Is that how things happen with you too? I mean, like
100%.
kind of, yeah. So you just come up with a bunch of stuff, and then one of them will be the one. So I don't want people to think like everything's so planned out and everything that we decide to do is what we do. It's not. I mean, it's just sort of a wild card. And
you got to create the funnel, right? Like you got to make a really big funnel of ideas to let things sort of filter through, and then the best 1 or 2 or 3 ideas come through the bottom, and then that's what you sort of jump on. We should really talk about the elephant in the room, though. Where is Jake Parker?
Jake,
are there any theories about where he is?
If you're on the YouTube, you can see a picture of where Jake is right now.
Yeah, there he is.
And
he is out in like gorgeous mountain. I think he's at Green Mountain.
How did he get to Istanbul so quickly?
Where is he? Where is that? Where is he actually?
He's backpacking somewhere.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't think he wants to. I don't think he wants people to know. So you know what? We're not going to say.
Our YouTube channel is School of Visual Storytelling.
What?
What an incredible plug.
Well, I mean, if somebody wants to watch it, I mean, like most people are consuming this on their phone in a podcast form, but
yeah, like in their cars.
All right. Well, let me go back. So what we were talking about before the intro. Just want to say, Anthony was saying that something was made in some intro sequence was made in Midjourney or made with AI. We don't have to do a deep dive in AI because we've already done whole episodes on it. But just my brief question to you guys is AI sort of playing out like you thought it would, or is it different than you thought it would? Just a kind of a quick take on the evolution of AI. What do you think?
Well, for me, it's much more capable much sooner than I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. It's also, there are, of course there's huge limitations on what you can do with it, but I am pretty blown away by what it can do still.
What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I'm reading the article right now, and so it says, yes, the Secret Invasion's opening credit scene is AI made, and here's why. I think so. I guess there's a couple things. Like for me, the relationship that I have with art that I just see on Twitter when I'm scrolling has changed. I'm maybe almost just a little bit more distrustful. Is that a term? Of people and their art, because some things just seem so perfectly made. Mm-hmm. And so it's changed like my consumer habits of stuff. And people whose work that I would have trusted as real, and I don't know why. Like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have just ever guessed, like, I don't care how this thing was made. Just make amazing art.
Does it? Do you find yourself discounting it then? You're like, that's not real. That's AI.
I do.
But
and
you don't know.
You just don't know. But it's this weird bias that's getting built in my brain. I
think that's happening with everybody, because I notice now, like Jake, Will, and I share images quite a bit on our just personal text thread. And I've noticed, especially with Jake, because Jake has done the deepest dive of all of us with AI. When I post something, his first question is that AI? Is that AI? Is that AI? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm making tutorials with this stuff. So I've got my layers, I've got video of me making it. But I do think that that's going to be an important part of our process now, is showing the process. so
You gotta-
people know that it's built. But Jake's instant reaction now is to think something's AI no matter what, I think, because you start to see it and you start to question it.
When you say it's important to be able to show our work, to who is it important to show our work?
I don't know. I mean, like Anthony said, you sort of discount quality because was it made in the AI blender, or did you actually make something? And so I think there's going to be a value on actually making things. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I mean, I also think that there's going to be more of a value in physical art. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if that's true or just wishful thinking on my part. What do you guys think?
I think that's true for certain groups of people. Like, so for artists, we're not going to value AI art as much as a lay person, right? And people who collect art, gallery art, are going to definitely want, handmade stuff. But one of the things that I wonder is, because we're mostly talking about, comics and children's books here on this podcast. And so if someone makes a children's book that's almost all AI, and there's very little that they did, right? Like there's already some children's books that have been put out that are for sale, done by AI. So if I'm a parent, I see that book on Amazon, it just looks right for something that my kid would like. I buy it. And if the story's good enough and it captures my kid's attention and it holds them and they want it read again and again, I'm not going to care. If I'm just the average person out there, I'm not going to care how it was made.
Yeah.
Right.
But most people don't even know what an illustrator is. So you know what I mean? Like you have to, when someone asks me what I do, I have to explain it to them.
Yeah.
Like they don't even know what illustrators are. So they're not going to care whether it was made by a human or made by AI. They might if they were educated, but they're not. Most of them are not.
Yep. Yep.
So
Is that even better though? Because I mean, so with that in mind, did artists and are artists putting too much emphasis on how something was made as being the value versus what the actual thing they make is?
I think it depends on the person. So I've made my entire audience is built and predicated on me sharing my work and showing like how I do things and talking through the process. I don't think I would have any followers or frankly anybody caring if I didn't start showing that stuff 5-6 years ago. And I think it's the process hounds, but I also think it's just the soccer moms in Iowa who just want to watch something kind of be made and built. And I think humans are interested in how people make stuff. Like when I'm on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and I'm scrolling, like I'll stop and I'll watch a chef make something, or I'll watch a woodworker make something. I think it's just fascinating that people get to see things being made. And I think this conversation is going to be outdated in 3 months, and then in 6 months is gonna look absolutely different.
yeah.
One thing was really cool though. We took a really quick trip to Disneyland a couple of weeks ago, and in California, in the California Adventure Park side, they have an animation academy. And in there are folks that work in animation, work in the park, and they're teaching people how to draw characters. And there's this incredible instructor named Sarah, who I adore, and she's amazing in there. The thing is, though, the line for that animation academy, if you've ever been, is like it's out the door. It's at max capacity almost every 30-minute slot that they have. Going back to, I think, Will's point, most people don't care how this stuff is made or who's making it. But I think it just showed me the power of, like, there's so many people who want to draw and just make stuff. And I think as I watch my kids, and particularly my 11-year-old or 12-year-old daughter, Tessa, draw right now, and she's just like furiously drawing. She doesn't care that AI can make stuff. She doesn't care. She just wants to draw and draw and draw. And then I think that's going to really skew sort of how I move my products and services. And I might skew to a little bit of a younger audience base, children, adolescents with that parent group above, to be able to buy for, because that will continue to be a market that is just needs to be served. So
Interesting.
I want to put a disclaimer out there, because this is, our podcast is online, and there's there's a certain group of people that don't understand nuance. So let me be very clear. This is not by me saying that I think that a lot of people aren't going to care. That's not me saying that I don't care.
Sure.
Okay. So I shouldn't have to say that, because I've seen comments that we've gotten recently that I've gotten on my YouTube channel where I'll tell an opinion about what I think is happening in a market, and people will go, why do you want that, or why do you want this? And I'm like, I never said I did.
For it, yeah.
Yeah, that I'm advocating for it. No, it's just, this is an opinion of what I'm seeing out there.
Well, there's 400 million people, there will be at some point 400 million people just in the United States. Whatever we come up with, whatever we say, it doesn't have to be the rule of the land for all 400 million people. Things are just going to be different for different groups of people. It's super easy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into some questions. You guys want to get going on this sucker?
Let's do.
All right, I've got them pulled up. If you want me to just go ahead and read them, I will. Mm-hmm. All right, this is sort of a follow-up one that we start with. It's episode 143. This is the person asking this question. I asked how to overcome my fear and imposter syndrome while believing in my ability to create great art. I've been thinking a lot about your word and advice, and it even made me doubt even though it made me doubt myself a little. I've been working hard on changing my mindset and how I see myself in my work. Trying to get to where the question is. Some days ago, I listened to another podcast, a well-known illustration podcast. That doesn't even exist, by the way, but we'll say that that's true. Although the interviewed illustrator was a big deal in the industry, it was a bit sad to listen to him, having the feeling that the illustrator is constantly doubting and belittling himself. She thinks it's about the mindset. What are your thoughts on the mindset of an illustrator? Since your mindset has so much power, why don't we talk about it more? Is there some kind of mindset that we need to be in to be creators? What do you guys think?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think you do have to have a weird, blind faith in your work. I mean, there's at the end of the day, I mean, you can, if you relied on the audience is so wild in what they say. Some people will love something and other people will hate that exact same thing. And some people say it's like, I just pitched a book dummy. I'm in the process of this book dummy going around to publishers. The reaction I've gotten from this one product has been, it's too commercial. It's too edgy. It's too dark. Needs to be darker. It's for too young kids. It's for too old kids. How do I make sense of that? I can't. I just have to sort of believe in the work, and you just got to turn all that stuff off. And I think if you can't, I was reading something yesterday about the new mindset, basically, of people who have grown up in the social media era, that there is a false importance placed on reactions, likes, comments, and that kind of stuff. I wonder if that plays into younger illustrators, that you put something out there and you're just sort of waiting. Is this good or is this not good?
Yeah, I was thinking about this in the car ride. I've been posting on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook for years and years, millions of views sort of across all of this stuff. At some point, the social credit of it kind of waned. And like there was no thrill there anymore. And as thankful as I am for people that will double tap the screen or make a comment, like I appreciate it. But that thrill just wasn't there anymore. Because it's like, what more do you really need? Like, it's that relationship that I have now started to kind of create in between myself and some of the social media platforms. And I think it goes back into that mindset thing too. One of the things that I was talking with a friend about in terms of the sort of the AI driven creativity, and then just us being able to make stuff. And I see a lot of people who say like, drawing, art, illustration, it's over. Like, but the thing is that no one's going to stop us from picking up a pencil and making a thing. Mm-hmm. It's not going to stop my daughter from making anything. It's not going to stop me from wanting to sit down and just draw the weird cartoons that I do. Just because somebody can do it really quickly or maybe more effortlessly or maybe more perfectly than I can. Like, I still want to make stuff. I don't want to, I'm 43. I don't want to live until 100 and just just sit here and be like, I'm not going to do something because AI told me I can't. I want to make stuff.
Right. But
there's so many
you're
people
shifting it to the. Oh, sorry. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say there's so many people that I've met that have stopped themselves from making stuff because they thought, well, what are the odds of me, being able to make it as an artist? And so they kind of just like logically kind of talk themselves out of that, and they come back to it later after they've had a career in something else, and they're so excited to finally be able to do the thing. Or I've met a lot of people that just have all these regrets because they didn't follow their dreams and passions and trying to do something that they really wanted to do. I heard a quote one time, I'll probably butcher it, but like I had been illustrating for 3 or 4 years and was kind of established in the editorial market. And it was that entrepreneurs have to constantly overestimate their abilities if they're going to be successful at all, right? You have to have this, or entrepreneurs in general have that quality of where they overestimate their contributions or their talents or whatever, their skills. It's so true. You have to, if you logically look at how many people, get to do exactly what they want, you would never try to do this logically, right?
Yeah.
But if you believe in yourself, and if you just understand that the more you do something, the better you'll get, and the more passionate you are about it, the faster you'll get better.
Yeah.
And the more committed you are to just plugging away. That's what I did. That's what almost everyone that I know that's a successful illustrator, we just keep working. That's the Dave Ramsey thing too. He's like, everybody I know that's ever been successful in life, they have one thing in common. They just don't quit. They just keep going. It might take them longer than someone else, but they just keep plugging away at it. My sister said that about me one time, my older sister who I looked up to and everything. And one day she was like, I can't believe you just never stopped. You just kept going. Like, even when you'd have setbacks, you just keep going. So
yeah, it's hard. I think one thing that is a detriment is thinking that everyone has to like something in order for it to be successful. And that's kind of where I'm landing on this lately is I don't think everybody's going to like something anymore. And I almost don't want everybody to like it.
No.
If they do, it's the most generic artwork ever. If everyone likes it. But I tend to have a belief in myself that if I really like something, and if something makes me sort of chuckle or laugh, or I just think something's beautiful, I think somebody else will think that, hopefully, and then I'll find my very, very little tribe. But Jake, Will, and I were chatting earlier today about the gatekeepers, and in publishing industry or whatever industry you're in, there's going to be a gatekeeper, and we were talking about Harry Potter. I don't know if you've heard of it. Pretty popular book.
Okay.
But it got rejected a bunch, and like if you just back up, like the story, it's such a great easy story. Oh, she was writing in a coffee shop and didn't have any money and got rejected so many times, and all of a sudden it becomes the big bestseller. And that's the thing people focus on. But what we were talking about this morning was the other part of it, of the rejection part of it, that if everybody knew exactly what was good, it wouldn't have been rejected once. But it was just rejected over and over again until it luckily got the gates opened and somebody let it through, and it's like, and then everybody's like, oh, it's so obviously this great product, but it wasn't.
Sure. Yeah.
And so if these gatekeepers, they are not even agreeing on it, the people who are in charge of it. So who's controlling what good is? And at a certain point, you can't guess at what good is anymore. You just have to say, I like this thing, and I'm going to make this thing, and I hope you like it too. I guess. I don't know.
Tying it back to the mindset portion of the question, when I was an executive recruiter and I just wanted to draw, I just wanted to see if I could make stuff. My mindset was, I'm just going to be a hobbyist. I'm not gonna look to the future. I'm just going to draw for fun because that's what humans do. We just do stuff. We just make things. We draw things. We build stuff. And it wasn't until maybe 10 years later, the mindset started to shift and like, people kind of like this, and I'm really having a good time. And then the mindset was, I'm really going to focus in for the next couple of years and really practice to try to be a professional. Now, 5-6 years later, I'm a professional. And now my mindset has shifted in terms of I have to get a lot of this other noise out of my system, the AI noise, the family noise, the self-doubt, the anxiety that I deal with, because I want to make stuff, and I want to make stuff that is really neat. And I've also gone back to the mindset of, I don't think that my work has to be for everybody. I just don't. Like, I like drawing really bizarre cartoons. It's just really fun for me. And I think it connects with a few people, but I don't need it to connect with everybody. I just don't have that mindset inside of me that I need that, demand it. And so I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of me too. And I think whenever we do mindset and intentioning stuff, I think you do have to have little milestones sort of set for yourself to really get back into your mindset and into your focus range. So, for me, when I was a complete amateur, I wanted to just play. And then I wanted to see if I could become a pro. And then when I was a pro, I want to see how much more professional could I make it. And now I'm building a much bigger business with employees and things like that. And it's setting these little milestones and then allowing the mindset to really dive into that chunk of the milestone that you're in with an eye to the future, but you're not trying to jump and leapfrog your milestones. You just got to sort of plod along, do your thing. And I think it makes it easier to focus and then just maintain your intention.
There's an analogy that goes good here. For mountain bikers, you said you're a mountain biker, Anthony? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very slow one. Yeah, super slow.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. We got to go ride. But one of the things that everyone has a problem with climbing, especially where we are really high altitude and it's very steep. Hard. We're in the Rockies. And the technique to do it is to basically look 20 feet ahead, pick a rock and get to that rock, and then pick another rock that's 20 feet ahead and get to that. And so that's kind of what you're saying is like, just kind of focus on these little sort of things. I think that's a great technique. One thing that I remember a while back, this kind of goes in contrast to what the person asking the question said, but I found a great deal of comfort in knowing that people who are much farther than me still get nervous about this stuff too. I don't know why. I read this article with Madonna, and it was talking about her going on to perform, and she almost like wants to throw up. Like you think like, oh my God, she's done probably 1 billion shows and she's so confident, all that. It's her whole persona. And she's saying that she gets like super nervous before she's going to, and I'm just like, oh my God, we're all in the same boat. We all just want to do well.
We really do. And I think that's so huge. And that's why we've talked a lot about like live streaming, showing your work, yada, yada. I think that's when you let other people in, and people then get to see that you are just sort of a real life person with fears and just whatever. And then people can then sort of glom around it. Like, oh, that guy really is, or that girl is really like me. And you don't put people on the pedestal nearly as much, but it also allows you to sort of move forward and not be so scared of things. I guess here's a question for you, Lee. So let's say you've got this dummy book going around, you're getting some really good feedback, but the feedback is all over the board based on the biases that people have in the industry. Let's say no one picks it up. You're into it. You've been working on it for months. You think it's a good product. Your agent thinks it's a good product. What's that going to do to your mindset to have to move forward with it? Like, what do you do?
My mindset now is I'm more excited about the industry than ever because of the self-publishing options. Because I know, like if 2,000 people buy my children's book, that would be a failure for the publisher. That would be a huge success for me personally.
For your family, yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna do exactly what Will does. I'm almost. I don't even really want to put this out in the universe, but I almost hope they don't pick it up. Because I want to do it myself. It'll be exactly, I don't have anybody saying, oh, we need to change it because like bullies are really big and we need to put a bully in the story even though one doesn't fit in there. Like I hate that kind of feedback. And Will, Jake, and I, and you too probably have been doing your own stuff for so long. Yeah. I'm less open to the feedback of just changing it because the common, thread is this one thing or another. I just want to tell this story. It's how it wants to be. It doesn't want to be try to fit everybody. So it just, there's always a place for the work you're making. And like I said, if I like it, somebody else is going to like it. It may not be a ton of people that like it, but I like it enough to publish it. And that's now my new benchmark, by the way. Yeah. It's like before when I would pitch dummy books, it would be like, well, I hope they sort of like this, but I'm not going to really dive too much into it because if they don't like it, then I've wasted all this time. But now I'm thinking like, if I'm not going to pitch anything that I wouldn't self-publish myself.
Yeah.
That's my benchmark now. So